Over the years, people have said many things about Catholics, that we disregard the Bible, that we make up our doctrines, that our politics are countercultural. But there's one thing that you cannot say about Catholics, and that is that we lack a sense of humor. Especially in trying times, it's important not to take ourselves too seriously. It's important to have a good laugh every once in a while, even at our own expense. And so here are 10 of my favorite Catholic jokes that are sure to make you laugh. Late one evening, a man was breaking into a house to rob it when he heard a voice from the other room say, "Jesus is watching you." Startled, he hid and was quiet. After about a minute, he saw that there was no one there, and so he walked out again and heard the voice one more time. "Jesus is watching you." Across the hall, he saw that it was just a parrot. "Whew," he thought. So he walked over to the parrot and he said, "Is that you who said that?" "Yes." He said, "What's your name?" "Clarence." So what sort of idiot names their parrot Clarence? "The same idiot that names their Doberman Jesus." A drunken man stumbles into a church one day and sits in the confessional. The priest waits patiently for the man to begin, but after a few minutes he grows concerned, and so he goes to knock on the wall. The man cuts him off. He says, "Don't even bother. There's no toilet paper in this one either." A nun is teaching an elementary school class on career day when she asks the students what they want to be when they grow up. One student says a doctor, another says a police officer. Everything's normal until little Susie raises her hand. She says, "Sister, I want to be a prostitute." "Oh my gosh, what did you say, little Susie?" "I want to be a prostitute." "Oh, thank God. I thought you said Protestant." An old man sees a priest walking down the street and says, "I gotta tell you something. I'm 90 years old, happily married for 70 years, never once cheated on my wife. But recently, I've been seeing this hot little thing that moved in down the street." The priest says, "Oh, okay. Well, when was your last confession?" The man says, "Confession? I ain't even Catholic, I'm just telling everyone." A Presbyterian woman dies and goes to heaven and is greeted by St. Peter. "Welcome, my sister in Christ. Welcome to your new eternal home. Let me show you where you'll be staying." And so he walks her through this tremendous palace. And they get to this one long hallway and he stops and he says, "I need to ask you something. Please, do not make a sound as we go down this hall. Just absolute silence. Okay?" So they walk through. So his tippy toes. Walks. Shh. Shh. And they get to the end. He says, "Oh, well, here's your room. I hope you enjoy your stay." She says, Wait. What was that all about?" He says, "Oh, that. You see, that's where the Catholics stay, and they think they're the only ones here, so we've just decided to humor them." A man walks into a bar and orders 3 beers. Seeing that he's alone, the bartender's a bit confused, but he pours the man his beer and brings it to his booth. He drinks one after another and then leaves without saying a word. The next week he comes back and does the same thing. The week after that again. By the 4th week, the bartender says, "I gotta ask, why do you order 3 beers and drink them all by yourself?" The man says, "Oh, you see, I used to go out drinking every week with my brothers, but unfortunately they moved away. And so now in each of our cities, we each have 3 beers, one for each of us, in commemoration of our time past." The guy says, "Oh, that's really interesting. Great way to keep in touch." And so he does this for another couple weeks until he walks in one day and says, "I'll have 2, please." You can see the sadness on his face, and the bartender immediately feels this. He does this week after week, only ordering 2, until the bartender finally says, "I'm so sorry for your loss." The man says, what are you talking about?" "Well, you used to drink 3 beers, but now it's only 2, so we all just assumed that something happened to your brother." Man looks at him and says, "Oh, no, that's not it. The 2 beers are for my brothers, but it's Lent and I gave up drinking." A man climbs up to the top of a building with a plan to jump off. A police officer sees this and says, "Sir, stop, don't do it. Think of your wife." He calls back, "I don't have a wife." "Well, think about your brothers and sisters." "I don't have brothers and sisters either." "Your parents, they're gone too." Everyone he shouts out, everyone he can think of, the man says, "I'm alone, I have no one." He says, "Well, then think about the Blessed Virgin Mary, our Mother of Sorrows. Do not bring another sorrow upon her." The man, confused, says, Who are you talking about?" The cop looks up and he says, "Well, Protestant, you might as well jump. You're holding up traffic." Four women are out to coffee one day bragging about their sons. The first woman says, "Well, you know, my son is a priest, so when he walks through the door, people say, 'Hello, Father.'" The second woman said, "Really? Is that it? My son is a bishop, and so when he walks through the door, people say, 'Hello, Your Excellency.'" The third woman says, "Psh, really? That's what you're going to brag about? My son is a cardinal. When he walks through the door, people say, 'Hello, Your Eminence.'" The fourth woman sort of slyly smiles and says, "Well, you know, my son doesn't really have a title, but he is tall and so good looking that when he walks through the door, all the women go, 'Oh God.'" A very mischievous teenage boy goes to confession one day. He says, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I have been promiscuous lately. I have fooled around with girls in my school." The priest gets very flustered. He says, "Oh, girls these days, always tempting the boys. Who was it? Tell me who. I want to have a conversation with her. Was it Tiffany? Is it Tiffany? I have suspicions about her." No, not Tiffany. "Margaret. It must be. I've seen the way she dresses. It must be Margaret." "No, Catherine. That Catherine. I'm going to have a word with her mother." "All right, boy. Don't let it get you down. It's not very good, but go say 5 Our Fathers and stay away from those girls." Boy walks away, goes to meet up with his other friend. His friend says, "Man, Father was in a bad mood today. He gave me 10 Our Fathers for my penance. What did you get?" The boy responds with a smile, 3 really good leads. And finally, a priest makes an impromptu stop at a parishioner's house one evening. He knocks on the door, but no one answers. He can hear someone moving inside, but no one ever comes to the door. So he takes out a piece of paper and he writes a little note. Revelation 3:20. "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If you hear my voice, let me enter and I will dine with you." The next Sunday, he looks through the collection, he finds his note there again, but on the other side, there's another note written. It says Genesis 3:10. "I heard your voice in the garden, but I was naked and afraid, so I hid myself."